Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. Could have did a little bit better on that intro. I was like a half a second late, but we're working on it, people. It's a work in progress. Welcome to True Crime Strategic, guys. Hope you had a great week so far. The week is almost over for some of you guys. I know, what's today? Today is Wednesday, so this is day 3 for me. So I got 2 more days of work till I finally get the rest, guys. I hope you guys had a good, productive week. Hope you're safe. Hope you love your family. Hope everything is great with you. If not, let me know and we'll pray for you. This is True Crime Strategic. If you're joining us for the first time, I'm an active duty detective. I investigate the type of crimes that YouTube doesn't want me to say without hurting my channel. So if you're new to the channel, just go in the chat and say, what kind of investigations does Strategic do? And they'll let you know the type of investigations I do. It's kind of similar to what you see here in this Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. Now, I wanted to update you guys primarily with what Matt Thibodeau put together on his TikTok page. You guys know that we do cover Matt Thibodeau quite a bit. He's a really good young man. He's doing a good job in true crime and bringing awareness and giving a voice to the voiceless. And here on True Crime Strategic, that's all we do. We give a voice to the voiceless. Absolutely. Now, I had a debate on my Patreon with one of my supporters. And in that debate, it's very relevant to this. So hear me out. In that debate, we talked about bias. I provided some court information on a topic that I'm not covering. I'm not touching that topic, but I wanted to provide the information to my supporters so that they can make up their own mind. This is true crime. It's what we do. But this person who had a very similar experience to the case that I provided information on was a little upset. And my response was, listen, you've explained why you're upset. And I'm going to be honest with you, it was really no reason to be upset, but everybody's unique, so we're not going to judge people. People have a right to feel however they feel. I said, in your explanation as to why you were upset, it shows that you're biased on the topic. And then the person said, well, how am I biased? And then I quoted them. I said, listen, you said that this, that happened to you in your own life. And now we're reporting on something with very similar allegation. And I explained to them, we all have bias. We all are capable of bias. And in this Celeste Rivas Hernandez case, I'm biased. The reason why I'm biased is because I have a daughter who's the same age as Celeste. Same age as Celeste. And so when I look at the steps and all of the different things that the family did when they found out that Celeste Rivas Hernandez was missing, I feel like they didn't do enough. My biasness, being a father to a daughter of the same age of this beautiful angel, informs me that I would do different things. From the outside looking in, remember, I'm not a part of that family and I don't know everything that they did, so I am also a little ignorant. We all are a little ignorant. But from the outside looking in, it looks like there wasn't an energy to find the truth. And so I surmised that I think that they're lying. Based off the information that I got, I felt like they were not being honest. And in the time of us exploring this case, seeking justice for Celeste Rivas Hernandez, it is becoming more and more apparent that the parents knew exactly where Celeste was. I think that in the beginning of the relationship, there was a worry as to who is this person that this girl, our daughter, keeps running away to? But I believe there came a point in a crossroad in this relationship with Celeste and David, where the parents found out and they had a choice. Their choice was to do what I would consider the right thing based off of my culture and my morals, because I think a lot of what we're dealing with here has to deal with culture, believe it or not. And people get mad at me when I talk about this because people are very protective of their culture, protective of people who look like them. So when I talk about South and Central American culture, where sometimes in certain cultures, remember, it's not a monolithic continent, there are dozens, maybe even 50 or more countries on that continent. And each one of those countries have their own cultures, their own social morals, their own sense of morality. So we're not talking about all people in Central South America, but what we're saying is there are some countries in South America where it may not be in law, but it's socially acceptable for a young girl to be involved in a relationship with an older man if he is able to provide for her. And more importantly, if he's able to help support and provide for the family. Now, this is not because these folks are bad people or they're amoral. Economics plays a large part into how people view morality. If you're living in, I'm just picking an imaginary country. If you're living in a country where it's extreme poverty and the life expectancy is not that high, history has shown that people's morals tend to waver, or at least what we consider Western morals. People get mad at me when I say that. I think that has something to do with this case. I think this was a poor, struggling family that had a daughter who did not want to be home, probably because of the instability that existed in the home. She started running away. She started messing with an older guy. They found out who the guy was and said, oh my God, this guy is a millionaire. He's a millionaire. What's the problem with allowing her to continue this relationship? If she does, in fact, stay with him, if she does, in fact, get pregnant by him, she's set for life. And you know who else is set for life? We're set for life. Now, Matt is going to break down just how much this family has not just lied to the media, but lied to law enforcement. And you're going to see right now that this family knew from the very beginning where Celeste was. They knew where Celeste was. They knew that she was with D4vd, a.k.a. David. And as I told you guys in the inception of this case, and I'm going to tell you now, nobody cared until that girl turned up missing. Or I digress. Dead. So let's jump into this. Big shout out to Matt Thibodeau.
In my last video, I discussed how Celeste Rivas Hernandez's last proof of life at this specific moment is from January 2nd, 2025. Prior to this date, there were photos taken of Celeste, videos taken of Celeste, fairly regularly. So why did that abruptly...
Now I gotta say this is not breaking news to us, because I broke down already all of the times that I knew at the time that Celeste was in contact with her family. Matt is going to add dates and times and events that we did not even know existed, and he's going to break the internet. Let's keep going.
Stop on January 2nd, 2025, based on what we know, again, at this specific moment. Now, let's do a recap of the timeline of events, because I feel like a lot of people are getting the dates and stuff mixed up here. So, February 14th, 2024, Celeste is reported missing for the first time. This also just...
February 14th, 2024. Keep remembering these dates, ladies and gentlemen.
So happens to be Valentine's Day, and the day that Josh...
I didn't even notice that. I remember it was February, sometime in February, but it didn't stick on me that it was February, that it was actually Valentine's Day. What a coinky dink that this girl goes missing during one of the most romantic holidays in American culture. Who did she go missing to see, ladies and gentlemen? Was it the guy who the mother was not allowing her to go to the concert to see, who got on the internet and told her, don't worry, baby, I'll fix it. Let's keep going.
Marshall, David's manager, rented that Hollywood Hills home for him to occupy. March 19th, 2024, Celeste is reported missing for a second time, and then she's reported missing for a third and final time by family on April 5th, 2024. On April 21st, 2024.
Now check this out. You don't make multiple missing person reports. So I think there's a disconnect here, because I believe that she went missing on that day, but she came back. She came back. And then she goes missing again in March. And then she comes back. You can't make multiple missing person reports. It's just one report when a person goes missing until they're found. So they kept making more reports because she kept leaving without permission. But we're getting a disconnect. We need to speak to the detective, but nobody's going to talk to us. Somebody's going to tell us that this girl is confirmed to have returned to the family, because the first thing that police are going to ask is, no police department is going to let you do multiple reports on the same topic or crime. Why? Because it's going to mess up their numbers. All police departments collect statistics. So if she just went missing in February and she's been gone since February, and then you come in and say, well, you know what? She's been missing since February. I want to make another report. Their statistics is going to show more people missing that's actually missing. She's going to count as 3 people. The statistics is going to show 3 missing person reports. So the only way that she can make multiple missing person reports, or let's say she, whoever is, the family members, is if she comes back. And I believe if we had more access to police records, and if we were able to speak to the detectives that are in charge of her missing persons cases, they would probably tell us that they got a call from the family a few days or a few weeks later saying, Celeste returned home. It's my opinion. Based off of my experience, I could be wrong. This is what I'm thinking. So I think that there's more proof of her returning home, even beyond what Matt is going to tell us and what I told you in the past. I think every time she went missing, she came back. Family went back to normal in their dysfunctional life. And then D4vd is like, hey, baby, I need to see you again. And then she breaks out and she goes and spends a couple days, maybe a week with D4vd. And then she comes back home again. And then she leaves and there's another missing person report. And then she comes back home, et cetera, until they came up with whatever deal, whatever arrangement they had that resulted in them not filing missing person reports anymore. That's my opinion, though. Let's keep going.
While Celeste is again still considered a missing juvenile. She is apparently seen somewhere with David and her cousin Esmeralda.
Wow.
This is implied by the PI who is now working for the homeowner of that Hollywood Hills home that David was staying at. It's unclear what event this was that all.
So this is April 21st. She is on camera because you know these people like taking pictures, all these young folks. It's the picture generation and the video generation. She's reported missing, ladies and gentlemen. And right after being reported missing, she is seen with her cousin at an event for D4vd. Let's keep going.
3 of them were apparently at together, or at least at the same time, because Esmeralda cleared her social media pages. But after doing some digging...
Why would you do that for? Why would you clear your social media page?
Does that make sense?
Are you hiding something?
Does that make sense?
Let's keep going.
I was able to find one social media account of hers that she has not wiped clean, and there is a photo of her around this time period at a California theme park. And it just so happens to be David posted to his TikTok a video of him riding a roller coaster at a theme park. Could be a coincidence, could not be, I'm not sure. Just wanted to share that with you guys. Now back to our timeline. On May 30th, 2024, again, while Celeste is still considered a missing juvenile, she attends her cousin Esmeralda's high school graduation.
Now, she graduated high school just a month later. She's either, if she's smart, or her birthday dropped at the right time, she's 17. Most likely she's 18, and possibly she's 19. She's grown enough to know better. She knows that her cousin is missing. Well, guess what? This missing person just popped up. This missing person did not miss her graduation. And the month prior, this missing person probably told her, maybe not boyfriend, to allow her to come to the amusement park with them as a graduation present. There's a lot going on here that we don't know, ladies and gentlemen, but we're going to figure this out. You want to know why? It's not because your host is an active duty detective. No. A detective means you're a people person and you got analytical skills. It's not because of that. We're going to figure this out because this audience is not dumb. We're not dumb. You're not going to pull the wool over our eyes. You're not going to deceive us. We're not dumb. This audience is filled with mommies and daddies. We're grown folk here. And we can smell a turd when we see a turd. And I smell a turd from this family story. This family knew where this girl was the entire time, or at least 90% of it. Maybe I'll give them the February runaway. Maybe I'll give them the March runaway. But when we start getting to the April and so forth and so on, they knew exactly where she was at. Why? Because her cousin, who's a grown woman, knew where she was at and hanged out with her. But we're not done yet because more sightings is going to come.
I don't know, it seems like Celeste and Esmeralda were pretty close to one another, and Esmeralda was also the one who created the GoFundMe page for Celeste's funeral expenses. On June 2nd, 2024, Celeste is seen on video arriving to a family event. She hugs...
Now this one we covered. Like I said, like they said in the chat, Superstar said, Strategic, you made this comment weeks ago that she was coming and going to the home. Yes. Like I said, this is not breaking news for us. What's important about what Matt is saying is that Matt has additional dates that I didn't know about, like that theme party event in April. I didn't know about that. So Matt is basically buttressing what we have said weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen. Go check the playlist. Weeks ago, we said this. We broke this down weeks ago. But Matt is doing an excellent job buttressing what we said weeks ago by giving us additional dates. And these additional dates to me are the nail in the coffin. I'm sorry, I hope it's not too soon to say that, but it is the nail in the coffin. It's a nail in her coffin because when she was alive, nobody cared about her. Nobody cared about her. I suspect they all cared what they could get from her based off of her alleged romantic connection to a multi-millionaire. Let's keep going. And you better believe it, D4vd is a multi-millionaire. This kid had money before he even became a mainstream pop star. The contract he got just added to the fortune he was already building. Let's keep going.
To, I believe, is her uncle and her aunt when she gets to this party. And then in September of 2024, we see that video footage of Celeste arguing with her dad's neighbors outside. So like we've been saying, the family of Celeste knew that she wasn't technically missing because she was coming around family still. She was still apparently talking to family. Her brother knew who she was around. Her cousin, Esmeralda, seems to have known who she was around, right. Yet nobody ever contacted authorities to
let's add as well, to a lesser degree because they're little kids, but let's add as well that her classmates and her best friend, she was talking to them via the internet the entire time as well. She's a young woman. This is going to excite her, being involved with a pop star. She's going to want everybody to know I'm boo. I'm his boo thing. I'm his wifey. She's not going to want to hide that. That's part of the only reason why she's probably dealing with him, because dealing with this older guy, because he is who he is. So everybody knew. Everybody knew. There were reports and allegations that David used to pick her up from her house with the Tesla. They weren't even hiding. It wasn't even like, yo, meet me around the corner. And like when they would go to the movies together, he would pick her up right in front of her house. Like, bye, Ma, bye, Dad, see you later. Hop into his Tesla and then drive off. Man, listen, there's a lot going on here.
Them know that Celeste wasn't a missing juvenile anymore, and I think that is because they didn't want an investigation to open up as to why Celeste was not attending.
Now I stopped it at the wrong time. I'm bringing it back because he just made a very interesting point about the family telling people don't look for her. Sharon Clark in the chat said paid off. Why would you say that for, Sharon? That's so mean. I would never say. I know that you're saying, I would never say the family was paid off. Maybe they were. I don't know. That's very mean, Sharon. Be good. Don't be mean in the chat. We're not on this channel in any way trying to insinuate that D4vd, the multimillionaire, would pay off this family and they would be okay with their young girl dealing with this older man because they're getting tons of money for it. I would not say that. Very bad girl, Sharon. You get a oh my God.
Oh my God!
I don't know. Maybe it did happen, but maybe it didn't. I don't know. We just ask questions here. Let's keep going.
Celeste wasn't a missing juvenile anymore, and I think that that is because they didn't want an investigation to open up as to why Celeste was
wait, bring that back again, because I keep yapping my big
not
mouth
with her dad's neighbors.
Listen to this. This is huge to me, at least. Listen to this.
Is seen on video arriving to a family event. She hugs who I believe is her uncle and her aunt when she gets to this party. And then in September of 2024, we see that video footage of Celeste arguing with her dad's neighbors outside. So like we've been saying, the family of Celeste knew that she wasn't technically missing because she was coming around family still. She was still apparently talking to family. Her brother knew who she was around. Her cousin, Esmeralda, seems to have known who she was around, yet nobody ever contacted authorities to let them know that Celeste wasn't a missing juvenile anymore. And I think that that is because they didn't want an investigation to open up as to why Celeste was not attending
Now, Matt Thibodeau is
school
too nice.
like a normal.
Because he's a little boy. I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. I like him. I cover his stuff all the time. But he's a little boy. He's being too nice. He said, oh, they don't want to, they told the neighbors, don't look for Celeste anymore because they didn't want the police to know that she wasn't going to school. I'm sorry, Matt. That's not why. It's not why. It's not why. Why would they file missing person reports 3 times only to stop filing missing person reports? And now we see that she starts spending more time with D4vd. Longer periods of time. What changed? What changed? I don't think they gave a damn about whether she was going to school or not, because the school didn't even care. You had this teacher in front of the classroom telling a story like he was TMZ, like it was gossip. First of all, I want to say to that teacher, I didn't like your tone, buddy. You're very inappropriate. The way you were talking to those students and talking about this girl. I know you're trying to pretend like you was giving a life lesson or something. It sounded like you was gossiping to me. But let's keep going. The school didn't even care. The school didn't call Child Protective Services and say, hey, listen, she hasn't been here in a gajillion years. They didn't care. They did not care. I think that Sharon, being a very, very, very bad girl in the chat, I think she might be onto something when she say paid off. Paid off. I think what changed is they came to an arrangement. They came to an arrangement. This is my opinion. I have no evidence of it. I've read no documents pertaining to this. It is my opinion using the First Amendment of this great, beautiful country of which I am a very, very, very big patriot of. I love this country. Best country on the planet. If you don't like this country, deuces. I think she was paid off, ladies and gentlemen. I think, or not she, I think they were paid off. Let's keep going. Don't call the cops. Don't go looking for her. She's not missing. Everything's fine. The mortgage is being paid finally. We're not in foreclosure anymore. We got food in the fridge. Let's keep going.
Age. And I personally think that at this point, after Celeste had ran away 3 times, the family probably just thought it was easier to let her be wherever she was at instead of forcing her to come back home and dealing with her running away over and over.
See, Matt, too nice. You had me, Matt. I was loving you, buddy. But you're too nice, buddy. You're too nice in that car, making them videos in that car. You're too nice. Let's keep going.
And over again. And I think that at this point, it's safe to assume that Celeste's family knew who she was with and where she was with. The mom said that she knew Celeste was dating someone by the name of David.
Right.
The brother is saying that he knew she was dating David, the singer, the adult. And I don't think that they actually cared. Now, this PI has recently...
Thank you, David. They did not care. Let's keep going.
Stated that he spoke to a few people that are in the community that Celeste's family lives in Lake Elsinore, and he was told by them that at the point that Celeste was reported missing for the 3rd time, The family members, certain ones, started instructing neighbors not to search for Celeste because she was, quote, staying with a family member near LA.
Wow.
Now, we still don't know who Celeste was staying with when she was not with David. In one of the recent PI's interviews, he stated that he believes that Celeste was staying at an apartment with someone else. So could her family have been telling the truth? Maybe Celeste was actually staying in the LA area with a family member, maybe her cousin. I will say that it's interesting looking at...
I think from based off of what I've heard so far, especially from SF Investigates, I know a lot of you guys may have issues with him. I don't have any issues. I just follow the facts, okay? Based off of what he has said, I believe that she was not staying at that Hollywood Hills house. There appears to be not much evidence that she was at that Hollywood Hills house. The only evidence we have of Celeste being over there are some pictures and videos with her there, but that doesn't mean nothing. If the guy's renting it, there's nothing to say that they can't go back and forth at that house. But if she's staying there is a different story. The only other big piece of evidence is the fact that she was found in the frunk of that Tesla, which is the front trunk. It's called a frunk, outside of the house or down the block from the house. All the evidence seems to be pointing that there was a second location. And that would make sense because celebrities usually have multiple locations where they stay. Believe me, they got millions of dollars. They don't care. The way they look at it is, listen, rich people live lives of excess to different degrees. Some rich people, they only wear Levi's and Dockers pants and Merrell shoes. And you'll look at them like, oh, that's a regular guy, but they're super rich. Oh, they don't spend money on expensive watches, but they have a yacht. That's their vice. That's their excess, the yacht. The 10 houses in the Alps. When you got the money, one way or another, you're going to spend the money. One way or another, you're going to spend the money. So these stars, if I party a lot in downtown LA, do I really want to only have a place in the Hollywood Hills that takes me 45 minutes to an hour to get back to my home? Or am I going to rent a nice little apartment in a high rise where I could party in downtown LA and be in my high rise in 5 minutes? I think he had a separate location. Maybe they know about it. Maybe they don't, because that separate location would not be in his name. It would be in somebody else's name. All evidence seems to point that he had a LA apartment and a Hollywood Hills apartment. And it looks like Celeste spent her time in the LA apartment. Think about that as well. If you're a young girl, do you want to be cooped up in the Hollywood Hills where you can't go nowhere unless you have a car to drive you out of the hills into the world, society? Or would you rather be in a luxury high rise? I'm not saying that that's where it was. I'm just using my imagination, what it could be. Would you rather be in a Hollywood high rise, a luxury high rise in downtown LA where you could come outside and it's just like you in New York? Everything is there. You got stores, you got corner stores, you got luxury shopping, you got clubs, you got restaurants, you got whatever you need, fast food, whatever you need. And probably a stack of cash or a credit card from D4vd saying, baby, do whatever you want. This is your allowance. You could spend up to $1,000 a day or whatever. What would you prefer? The ability to roam around when David's not around, or be stuck in a house because you need a ride? So if David is not there, you can't go nowhere. That's what I'm thinking. Let's keep going.
Esmeralda, the cousin's information, because it seems like she moved across the country to attend college for the 2024-2025 school year. So if Celeste was maybe staying with Esmeralda somewhere in LA, and Esmeralda ends up going to school across the country, comes back around the holidays in 2024, but then goes back to school in January of 2025, that is around the same time period that Celeste was last seen. I'm not saying that Esmeralda had any knowledge or anything to do with Celeste's death, but I'm just saying that this would have given whoever was around Celeste at this time opportunity to be around her alone, and it also would indicate why maybe the person that is typically around her, living with her, did not know that she may have been dead for so long because they were not physically in the residence with her at that time. I don't know, I'm thinking out loud, piecing things together as I go. What do you guys think of all of this? This is all very suspicious, and regardless of whatever happened, many people failed Celeste by choosing to not check in on her, by choosing to not get her the help that she probably needed, and by choosing to not support her in healthy ways instead of just allowing her to run rampant and do whatever she wanted with whoever she wanted.
Right.
All right.
And that's when I disagree again. This little girl was not being allowed to run rampant and do whatever she want. I think that's victim blaming to a certain extent. She was manipulated and taken advantage. I don't understand why people keep talking like this. There's no shade on Matt. He's a young guy. I've been doing this for longer probably than he's been alive. What is he, like 18, 19 or something? I've been in law enforcement for almost 20 years now. It's my 19th year that just passed. I keep hearing people on the internet talking like she knew what she was doing. If she's 16, I would say, okay, she's old enough to know better. This is a young girl who has been groomed since she was 11 years old, in my opinion. 11 years old. And people said 14 in the chat. She was 13. She was groomed, manipulated, and taken advantage of. And she had no support structure to teach her right from wrong. That is not her fault. That is a failure of her community and her family. She didn't even have a school that would call and say, listen, she's not here. Send Child Protective Services to do a full investigation of that household since their daughter is not coming to school. She was isolated. She was confused by being exposed to a lifestyle that she was not ready for, a lifestyle that was not hers. And what happens when that's not your lifestyle, but you want it and you get a taste of it? You are willing to do whatever to keep yourself within that world. That means she lived to please David, whatever that means. I don't know. We'll figure it out. She didn't have an opinion. She didn't have a thought. She didn't have a feeling. Whatever she thought, felt, whatever, had to conform with what made D4vd happy. Why? Because there was always that prospect of her being cast aside and thrown away and no longer have access to that lifestyle. This was a underaged female who should be spoken about as such. And we need to stop speaking about her like she's some wayward teen, like she's some, runaway problem child. And, everybody had a hard time dealing with her. Hey, like Matt said, maybe they just felt like it was better to let her stay where she's at rather than force her to come home and then have to deal with her running away again. Well, I'm sorry, Matt, you obviously don't have children because you're a little boy. You don't understand that that's a parent's job. Being a parent is not easy. So yes, they were supposed to bring her back home where she would be safe with her family and not be forced to do things that adult women are doing because they want to. It was amoral and it was illegal to allow this young woman to be with D4vd. So I would hope eventually that these YouTubers who cover this will start speaking about her the way she's supposed to be spoken as, which is a child who is taken advantage of, a victim. She's not a victim just because she was found in that frunk. She was a victim the moment she got in contact with D4vd. Let's keep going. I want to play a little bit of this long crime and we'll get out of here because we got another live coming up for you guys soon where we're going to talk about updates on this Melody Buzzard case. So that live has already been scheduled. Make sure your notifications are all set to all so that you could just pop right into that live when we do it, which is going to be in a couple minutes after this live is over. Let's keep going.
New footage has just circulated of possibly David and Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the girl whose body was found in his car. If true, what does this tell us? Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. We have another layer to this David Celeste Rivas Hernandez case that we want to talk about. Apparently, potentially video of them together. Now, why does this matter? Well, considering the body of 14-year-old Celeste was found in the trunk of a Tesla registered to singer David Anthony Burke, back in September, and understanding the relationship, that becomes key. Now, there's been online speculation about the two of them. TMZ has reported that those in the romantic homicide singer's inner circle believed she was 19 years old, that they were hanging out. He's 20, by the way. The New York Post reporting that in a 2023 song, David raps, "Oh, Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest, smell her on my clothes like cigarettes." And speaking of tattoos, it was reported that Celeste and David each have these matching tattoos on their fingers. That actually seems to be how her decomposed remains were ID'd. Now, there were reports that she is a runaway, speculation that she was trying to see David. And despite all of this, there is no established connection or association or relationship that has been confirmed by authorities investigating Celeste's death. In fact, there is no confirmed suspect or person of interest, even a cause of death for Celeste. But what has just come out? What are we talking about? This 30-second clip from what seems to be a Twitch live stream. And now we don't know for sure when it was recorded, but it was apparently posted on social media back in September, and it is really making waves right now.
He trained you.
No, you didn't.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of raping kids.
Really good.
Okay,
It's been a good one. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Oh my.
Let's go back a little bit, because when I said this, I pointed this out. People are like, no, she's talking about Epstein, and no, she's talking about Netflix special. No, strategic, you got it wrong. She's talking about Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh, no, she's not talking about David. Okay, well, let's listen to it one more time.
But what has just come out?
People love making excuses for bad behavior, but whatever, let's keep going.
What are we talking about? This 30-second clip from what seems to be a Twitch live stream. And now we don't know for sure when it was recorded, but it was apparently posted on social media back in September. And it is really making waves right now.
He trained you.
No, you didn't.
That's controversial.
He said, media trains you, that's controversial. Let's keep going.
It's controversial of raping kids.
Right. So they're saying in the chat, that David is on Epstein's list, his flight list. They're saying that because they're saying that he is, what is Epstein? Epstein, at the core of his massive scandal case, was a child emmer. He was an abuser of young people. That's what Epstein was. People don't care about all those politicians and rich folks because they thought that Epstein was just, being a pimp. They don't care about that. People care about the fact of who he was pimping. He was pimping illegal people who were too young. So the chat is saying, David, you're on Epstein's flight list. Like, you are a pedophile, David. And then she says it's controversial about graping little. Come on, man. Let's put that back one more time. One more time, and then we'll move forward. I apologize.
This 30-second clip from what seems to be a Twitch live stream. And now we don't know for sure when it was recorded, but it was apparently posted on social media back in September. And it is really making waves right now.
He trained you.
No, you didn't.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of raping kids.
Really good.
Okay,
It's been a good one. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Oh my. Delete everything. Delete everything. Everything goes.
Now, something I have to say on top of the fact that David, has not been arrested, criminally charged, or officially implicated in any crime or wrongdoing connection with Celeste's death. Her death certificate confirms she was not pregnant at the time of her death, nor in the year leading up to her death. And while law enforcement
I just don't understand how these things happen. I don't want to find out either, man, but I don't understand how these things happen. I'd love to find out professionally, though. What would lead you to end this girl? Like, why did she have to go? In all honesty and in all truthfulness, if she did not, if she said, listen, everything I did with him was what I wanted to do consensually, and he wouldn't have experienced that. He wouldn't have gotten that much time. He probably would have got no time at all in California. They probably would have bumped down the charges where he wouldn't even be an ex-offender. I'm not trying to knock Cali, but it is what it is. All right, if you come to New York and you punch somebody in the face, you're not going to go to jail. That's just a fact. If you come to New York and you go into a store and you steal, you're not going to go to jail. You're not even going to go before a judge. You're going to get what's called a desk appearance ticket. You're going to be in the police precinct for like 2 hours, and then you're going to be released. That's everywhere in the state of New York. It doesn't matter where you are. Facts are facts. I'm not trying to disrespect Cali. Emmanuel Haro, that's the victim. Jake Haro, the perpetrator, before he ended the life of Emmanuel Haro, we all know about that story. He literally beat his daughter to the point where she went from a healthy, vibrant baby to now she is literally a vegetable and will remain that way until the day that the good Lord takes her breath away and accepts her into his holy kingdom. He did that. The courts knew he did that. The prosecutor knew he did that. He pled guilty and admitted that he did that, and he got 0 jail time. So there was no reason to end Celeste's life. With all his money, he would have made this be able to go away. In fact, he probably could have just cut a check to the family and she just disappear, go down to live with her relatives in Mexico for a couple of weeks or months, and they would have dismissed the case against him. That's what all the celebrities do. That's how R. Kelly beat his first case. Remember that one? He beat that one because he paid the family off and flew them out to a castle in Europe. They literally lived in a castle mansion in Europe for like 2 years until the case was over. And then they got a fat check and they lived happily ever after. That's assuming if you think money could make your trauma go away. That's what all the rich people do. You didn't have to end her. Why did you take her life? Or whoever, allegedly, I don't know. I'm saying he. I don't know if he took her life. He has not been charged or named as a suspect. I'm only saying he subconsciously, I guess, because he's the last person to really be involved with this girl that we know of. So it's either he did it or somebody in his entourage did it. Or they're dealing with some weird serial killer that just happened to stumble across her and then put her in D4vd's trunk. I don't know. All I know is that she did not have to die. Let's keep going.
Hasn't even officially confirmed that Celeste was killed. In other words, was there a crime beyond someone putting her body into that car? If she was killed, if she was murdered, why? Now, before we...
Mary Jo said, remember the Subway commercial guy and we never heard from him again? That's a different story, though. You might want to do some research on that one. Mary Jo, he is in federal prison for like the next 40 years. He's gone. They did him. His Subway sandwich money could not save him. You haven't heard from him because they buried him under the prison. He exists, he still lives, but he's buried under the prison. Let's keep going.
Before we dive any further into how this live stream may affect the investigation, I just want to play you something real quick. We interviewed in our previous episode of Sidebar Steve Fisher, the private investigator who was hired by the landlord of the property that David was apparently staying at in Los Angeles. If you recall, authorities searched that property. David moved his stuff out. The Tesla with Celeste's body was near that place too. Listen to what Fisher had to say as we try to understand the potential connection between David and Celeste.
We now have a much better understanding of when that Tesla arrived at that final parking spot. I'll tell you, I do have surveillance from different houses in the neighborhood showing Tesla being moved.
Do you know who was driving that car, that Tesla? You don't have to tell me, but do you know the identity?
Yeah, as far as going to the final, that what we believe is the final parking spot where it was towed from, yes.
Do you know if Celeste was ever at that property?
You know, what we recovered, we don't have any of her at that property. We have pictures of her and that were taken by David, we assume, because it's not on a camera phone, but these photos are on a regular camera at different locations. And it really makes me think that it's likely she had another place she was staying. I can tell you that there was a lot of time spent towards downtown LA. But I will say this:
no disrespect. I'm not trying to be mean, but doesn't this guy look like the Constantine priest? A little bit, right? Like the way his mouth is and his eyes. When I looked at it, I was like, yo, that looked like the priest from Constantine, the movie with what's his name again? I forgot his name. Keanu Reeves. Where he's like a demon hunter. He looks just like him a little bit. A little bit. Nothing. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Whatever. Let's keep going.
Some things that, and I'm talking physical evidence that was at that house that is, there could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of her. And it's scary, sadistic stuff. It's and that's why we're trying to learn more about that, because and I wish I could say more, but for obvious reasons I can't. But it doesn't have to do with her, how she died, but maybe how they were planning on ultimately getting rid of her, and how maybe that Tesla was just a holding spot at the time, and things just.
So basically what SF is saying, and big shout out to SF Investigates, because I think he's doing a good job on this case. I really do. I think he's doing a good job. He has information that we don't have. Some people don't like him from past work. I don't know nothing about those cases. I've discovered this guy through this investigation, and he appears to be doing a very good job in this investigation, okay? The only hiccup that I saw was when he was accusing the manager of living with D4vd, and the manager says, absolutely not. I have a family and I live in Florida and I work remotely, and there are other people who's there with D4vd, but it's not me. And then he basically called the manager a liar. And then a couple weeks later, I saw his Twitter feed where he's like, I may have been mistaken about where the manager lived. That was a hiccup, but he said he was wrong. That's the best you can do when you're wrong, by admitting it. Other than that, it seems like he has information we don't have. And what he's saying here is that he saw stuff in that house that may have looked like they were trying to, or at least thinking about disposing of this body. I just don't understand why the police haven't made an arrest yet if they have video surveillance from inside of the property. I think there's a possibility that Celeste, like I said earlier, was never at this property. So they may have video surveillance in this property, and Celeste is not in there or being killed in there and removed to the trunk. But what about all this ancillary stuff that they're talking about? Because he's alluding to me, it sounded like he talking about hacksaws and drills and circular saws and stuff to kind of like dismember a body. That's what I'm thinking from how he's speaking. He's not being very clear. He doesn't want to tell us. He's hinting at it. So my imagination, you guys know I got a big imagination, it has run wild, and it looks like to me he might be talking about things that could be used to dismember and dispose of a body. Like, okay, so who was touching that stuff? Does the police know? Like, LAPD, what's happening here? Did you see a guy trying on a Tyvek suit and like pulling a chainsaw, like the Chainsaw Massacre, to test it out? Like, rrr, rrr. All right, I'm gonna do this to her body soon. Who are these people? This is crazy. Big shout out to Jolene Rain with a $2 super chat, says, congratulations on 100K. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. So I don't know, man. I'm really at a loss to the state of this investigation. Nothing makes sense to me in this investigation. It's moving so slowly. I tell you what I do suspect. I suspect that David has an alibi. I think the only reason why David is not in cuffs right now is because he has a legitimate alibi, and because her time of death is not exact because she's been rotting in that car for so long. I think they can't say, oh, well, it was this day. Where were you? They can't pinpoint it. And in or around the time that they believe she may have been deceased or unalived, I feel like he has an alibi. The problem is he could have did it the day before or he could have did it the day after. It is what it is. I don't know. I don't know. Let's keep going. Good job, SF. I appreciate the work that you're doing here. I was just cracking jokes on you. Don't take it too personal, all right? You don't look like the Constantine priest. Maybe a little bit, but come on.
Their timing was just off as far as getting this done. But there's a few things that were just like, will blow your mind.
Okay, so now let me bring in Dave Sarney, retired NYPD detective, adjunct professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Dave, thanks.
All right, so I'm going to stop it here. I think this guy has some good insight that he's going to add to it, but I don't want to play the entire of Jesse Weber's show. We do use law and crime a lot on this show, and I'm trying internally to not react to their entire videos. I think it's incredibly rude. There's going to be times that we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to react to a person's entire video. We will do that. But when I feel like I can avoid it, I avoid it. Why? Because putting content together is not easy. It's not easy. I got work later on in the afternoon. I've been at this computer since 9 o'clock preparing this show. Right after I'm done with this show, I'm going to do another hour and a half live in like 15 minutes. And then I'm going to get dressed and go to work. That basically means I've been working all day long and have not taken a break. So I would feel some type of way if somebody's reacting to my entire video. All they're doing is just watching and eating chips or something like that. You want to send people back to the original content creator to give them the credit that they deserve. So we're not going to play the rest of this video. I want to encourage you to go and watch this for yourself on Law and Crime. I think it's very probative and very interesting. All right. So what we'll do here is we're going to end this live here. We got another live coming up in 10 or 15 minutes where we're going to be covering the new updates that we've been able to come across on the Melody Buzzard case. Melody Buzzard is that missing 9-year-old from California, yet another one in California whose mother refuses to cooperate with law enforcement. We also examined pictures that were released in law enforcement. I had my opinion of it. Well, it looks like we might have some definitive answers on whether I was right or wrong about my opinion. Stay tuned for that next live to find out exactly what I'm talking about. All right, guys, it's been amazing. I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Make sure you like and subscribe, join the channel. Make sure you hit that like button. We have over 250 people watching this live right now, and only 165 likes. You got to do better than that, please. Help me out so we can get into that algorithm. We have made our goal of 100,000 subscribers. But guess what? We're trying to get to 500,000 next. Big goals, people. Big goals for big returns. That's how we do. So please hit that like button. Get us into the algorithm. Support the channel. Leave a like. Leave a comment. We'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.